Hello. Hey, B. How are you? Hi, how are you? Is everything good with you? Hey, Becca. Hey, Shelly. Hello. Thank you, thank you. Hey, Renee. Afternoon book club situation. Hi, Lana. Hello, hello. Thanks for the gummy bear. Oh. Hey, Snakey.
What's a gummy bear?
I don't know. Someone sent me a gummy bear.
How?
On TikTok.
How do you do that?
It's a gift.
What does it mean?
I don't know.
Oh, weird.
Figuring out my schedule and stuff for London. You should message me, Shelly, so I can tell you about the stuff that we did. Yeah, someone sent me a gummy bear. And I went like this. How? And I ate it. But not in an AI way. I didn't eat it in an AI way. Nope. I did not. Hey, Abby. How's everyone doing this afternoon? Hey, Anya. Drinking some water. It's a warm day today. I didn't even wear my jacket. I just carried it. Whoa. What a world. What a world. Are we ready to dive in to the book? Are you always cold? Mostly, right? I think so. Mostly?
She's mostly always cold.
Hey, Shira. I'm mostly cold. But today I was okay.
It's warm out.
It is warm out, yeah.
Very warm.
We are going to read chapter 15. As you can see, we are more than halfway through the book. We only have just this much left. I can't either, Becca. So, chapter 15. Here we go. Yeah, that's kind of how I roll, Shira. At the pier, I helped a Coast Guard, sort of. I feel like a hero. What'd you do to help a Coast Guard? My favorite slime got ruined and I had to buy a new one. Oh no, I'm sorry about that, Snakey. That's a bummer. I know you were doing some experiments with them and sometimes they don't end well. That's what happens. Yeah. Book club. Hey, Rosie. All right, we're going to get started with chapter 15, A Bittersweet Reunion, which tells me that, if I had to guess, Alex and Connor are going to be reunited, but they didn't want to be reunited in this way. That's just a guess based on the chapter title. I don't know. I, unlike our friends, would never read ahead without you. That's me looking at all of you who have been reading ahead. How dare you? How dare you? I wouldn't do that to you guys. No. All right. Alex sat by her grandmother's bedside holding her hand. Oh, I forgot. Fairy grandmother is sick. The fairy godmother had been sleeping peacefully since she got there. She didn't look like she had a care in the world, but Alex knew this was her favorite facade to keep. Even as she slept, she couldn't be trusted to show her true feelings. Something was very wrong, and Alex could sense it. Are you going to tell me what's the matter with her? Alex asked. Or are you just going to sit there and make me figure it out on my own like everything else? Esmeralda and Mother Goose sat on the other side of the bed, keeping to themselves. Red and Froggy were there too. They stood at the foot of the bed, wishing there was something they could do to comfort their friend. The week had proven to be a difficult one for all of them. Your grandmother's been feeling very tired for a long time, Mother Goose said. She asked me not to tell anyone, and then today, she just didn't wake up. Today is the first time I'm hearing about this too, Alex, Esmeralda said. She was keeping it from everyone. But what does tired mean? Alex said, becoming frustrated. Does she just need to rest? Is there anything I can get her or try to wake her up or gift her? Is she... Alex couldn't bring herself to say it. I'm afraid there's nothing any of us can do, Mother Goose said. So she is dying, Alex finally said. If that's what's happening, why can't either of you just tell me? Esmeralda sighed, not for Alex, but for herself. Yes, she confirmed. We do believe the fairy godmother is dying. Tears immediately ran down Alex's face. She had always known that their grandmother wouldn't be around forever, but she'd never expected to lose her so soon. "I am so sorry, Alex," Red said. Please let us know if there's anything we can do," Froggy said. Alex didn't say anything. Of course there wasn't. The only thing that would comfort her now would be if her grandmother woke up. "I haven't even lived here a full year," she said through tears. "My grandma's the only family I have, and I just don't understand why this is happening." Mother Goose hoped it would supply the young fairy with a little comfort if she explained. "Your grandmother has been around for a very long time, Alex," Mother Goose told her. "She's worked very hard to make the fairy tale world what it is. She knew she wouldn't be around forever, and over the past couple of centuries, she's looked for someone to continue her work when she's gone. She's had many apprentices, and all of them have failed, but you. In you, she finally found someone she knows will continue her legacy and continue it well. And knowing this, she's given her soul permission to move on." This only made it much worse for Alex. "So what you're saying is that this is my fault?" she said. "Had I never come to live in the land of stories or joined the fairy council, she would still be looking for a successor and she wouldn't be in this bed, so I'm killing her?" "Good heavens, no," Mother Goose said. "I'm trying to tell you you're saving her. You're giving your grandmother the freedom to pass on, and that's a right every living creature deserves when it's their time to go." It was a very hard thing for Alex to hear. She had known that with every lesson or test she passed, she was getting closer to losing her grandmother. Alex would have given up all in a heartbeat. But she also knew that this was the last thing her grandmother would have wanted. "How much time do we have left with her?" Alex asked. "Will she wake up before she goes?" "It's hard to say," Esmeralda said. "There's always a chance she could very well pull through this and live for another 100 years. It all depends on how much magic she has left in her, but given the information she shared with Mother Goose, we think it's very unlikely." "And that's why Froggy turned into a frog again?" Alex said, starting to make sense of it all. "As she dies, some of her magic starts to die with her, so her most recent spells and enchantments will slowly fade and wear off?" "Correct," Esmeralda said. "And it's our job to make sure the work she put into this world never fades away completely." Alex gently touched the side of her grandmother's face. She was such an extraordinary woman. She wouldn't be surprised if there was still a bit of magic in her, somewhere. "Froggy, I'd be more than happy to change you back into a man," Alex said. "It might take me a couple of tries, but I think I can do it." Froggy was touched by this gesture, especially given the situation, but he surprised the whole room with his answer. "No, I'm all right," he said. "Red, my darling, I hope you can understand this, but I've thought it over and I've decided to stay a frog." They were all shocked to hear this, especially Red. "What are you saying?" Red asked. "What would make you come to that conclusion?" "Well, because no matter how many times I become a man, I always change back into a frog," he explained. "I think the universe is trying to tell me something, and although I put on a good show, each transformation is more exhausting than the last. Constantly having to retrain yourself to walk and to eat and to function again takes a heavy toll. I'd much rather choose one form and stick with it, and it appears being a frog is what I'm meant to be." Red tried her absolute best to take this news well, but after so recently losing her throne, she couldn't put on a brave face. "Forgive me," Red said, blinking back tears. "I don't mean to look disappointed as I do. Charlie, you stood by me even as I lost my kingdom. I know I can support you through something as trivial as this. It's just going to take some getting used to, I suppose. Please excuse me, I am going to go get some fresh air." Red left the fairy godmother's chambers intact, but once she was out the door, they heard her burst into tears. Alex gently placed a hand on her grandmother's bed and rose to leave. "I need some air too," Alex said. "I'll walk out with you," Mother Goose said. "I'll stay with fairy godmother," Esmeralda said. "Me too," Froggy said, and took Alex's seat. As Alex walked with Mother Goose through the halls of the fairy palace, she could tell the news about her grandmother had spread. Every fairy who looked at her somberly expressed sympathy and respect as she walked by. "This is going to be so hard to get through without my brother," Alex said. I would give anything to have him here. Mother Goose's eyes darted up and down the hall. When they reached the vacant part of the hall, she quickly pulled Alex behind a pillar and out of sight. Alex, I need to tell you something, Mother Goose said. It's about your brother. What is it? Alex said. When your grandmother first told me how she was feeling, I immediately contacted Connor, she explained. I didn't tell him she was sick, but I sent him on a little errand for her to do for me, to check on something. To check on what? Alex asked. Yeah, Froggy's spell isn't the only bit of your grandmother's magic that might wear off, she said. The spell she cast to shut the portal between the worlds may fade as well, and I asked Connor to check it out. A roller coaster of emotions ran through Alex's body. Was it possible a bit of good news could come with this tragedy? After all, if the portal could be opened, she might see her brother again. How long until we know? She asked. I'm still waiting to hear from him, Mother Goose said. Your grandmother's magic may be fading, but as long as there's the smallest bit left in her, there's no way of telling if her spells will stick or not. It could take weeks, months, or even years before we know about the portal. Red suddenly stormed down the hallway, but stopped when she saw Alex and Mother Goose talking behind a pillar. Red, what's wrong? Mother Goose asked her. Are you sad about Charlie being pro-frog, or has Claudia swallowed another one of the pixies? I was on the balcony feeling sorry for myself when I spotted something, Red said with bright eyes. I may be hallucinating from all this misfortune, but I swear I saw Connor running towards the palace. Mother Goose jerked her head back to Alex. Yeah, perhaps the portal's opened and we'll know in a matter of minutes, she said, finishing her previous thought. Let's get to that balcony. The three of them ran down the hall and emerged onto the grand balcony of the fairy palace. They scanned the gardens below until they saw a familiar young man running towards them. Connor! Alex screamed. Seeing her brother running through the gardens put her in a state of complete shock, as if she were seeing a ghost. Was she really seeing him, or had the misfortune of the day caused her to hallucinate too? Alex! Connor yelled up at her. He was wheezing and sweating like he'd been running for hours. I have to tell you something. His voice faded away and his eyes rolled into the back of his head. And Connor fainted on the spot. Without missing a beat, Alex ran off the balcony, through the palace, and into the gardens to her brother's side. She kneeled on the ground next to him and placed his head in her lap. Mother Goose and Red arrived right after her. Is he dead? Red asked behind Mother Goose. Connor, can you hear me? Alex said to her unconscious brother. Can you hear me? Mother Goose removed her flask from her hat and splashed his face with the liquid inside. Connor stirred to life and quickly sat up. Ah, that burns, he said, wiping the liquid out of his eyes. What's wrong with you? Sorry, but that usually does the trick, Mother Goose said. Alex instantly broke into tears upon seeing that all was right. She had spent months convinced that she would never see him in person again, and now here he was, sitting on the ground in front of her. She wrapped her arms around his ribs and cried into his chest. Connor, you're here. You're actually here, she sobbed. I've never been so happy to see someone in my entire life. He was panting, and he still found the strength to hug her back. It's good to see you too, Alex, he huffed. Mother Goose interrupted their reunion. Kid, if you're here, I'm assuming that means, yeah, the portal's open, Connor said breathlessly. And the army? They're here too. Mother Goose suddenly went pale as a ghost. She tipped her head back and drank whatever was left in her flask. Alex did not understand what they were talking about. Connor, what army? She asked. And what have you been running from? It's a long story, Connor said. But first, I have 2 friends with me from the other world who helped me find the portal. They're in the woods somewhere behind me. They couldn't run anymore, so I left them behind. We have to go find them and send them home as soon as possible. I'm on it, Mother Goose said. She whistled for Lester, and a couple moments later, a giant goose swooped down in front of the towers of the palace and landed on the ground next to them. Lester was just as surprised to see Connor as the rest of them. Squaw! Lester squawked. Hey, buddy, long time no see, Connor said and rubbed Lester's long neck. Mother Goose hopped aboard the gander, and they took off into the night sky to find Connor's friends. Connor got to his feet, and he was still having a hard time catching his breath. Froggy appeared at the top of the palace's front step and looked across the garden. He was amazed by what he saw. Connor? He gasped. Is that really you? Yeah, Connor's back, Red called to him. The porthole has been reopened, or something like that. Froggy leapt across the gardens and gave his friend a giant hug. He didn't care how Connor managed to return. He was just happy to have some good news out of this day. Hey, Froggy, Connor said. It's good to see you all again. You look flustered, old chap, Froggy said. What's the matter? Please tell us what's wrong, Alex pleaded. You're starting to scare me. Connor took a few extra deep breaths to calm his racing heart and then told them what was happening. He started with his trip to Germany, the warning the Brothers Grimm had left in their last story, and he explained how he had tried to get a hold of Alex but eventually just contacted Mother Goose. He filled them in on how the Brothers Grimm had tricked the Grande Armée into an enchanted portal. Connor told them about his trip across Europe to find the portal and to see if it was open. With Bree and Emmerich's help, and then, to their absolute horror, he told them that the army of thousands of men had finally arrived in the land of stories after 200 years. They were all at a loss for words. None of them wanted to believe their horrible week was gravely worse than they'd thought. "Oh my gosh," Alex said. "This is unbelievable." "Yeah, tell me about it," Connor said. "It's been a rough couple of days." Hearing this confused Alex. "A couple of days?" she clarified. "Wait, you're saying you tried to contact me during the ball?" "Yeah," Connor said, and he rolled his eyes, remembering his attempts. "It must have been a pretty busy ball because you couldn't speak to me for 3 days." "I'm sorry about that. I was occupied with a lot of things," Alex said, not wanting to get into them. "But the ball was almost a month ago. Connor, you've been in that portal for weeks." Just when Connor's heart calmed down, it started racing again. Emmerich's suspicion was right. The soldiers weren't the only ones who had lost track of time while they were in the portal. No wonder they had all been so discombobulated when they arrived. "Oh no," Connor said. "That means that Bree and Emmerich have been away from their families for a month. Once Mother Goose brings them back, we'll take them to my chambers and get them home using our Land of Stories book," Alex decided. "It should be working again since the portal has been reopened." A question suddenly came to Connor's mind. "Yeah, but Mother Goose never explained to me why the portal has been reopened," he said. "Do any of you know why this is happening now?" Alex looked gloomily to Froggy and Red as they went silent. Connor could tell they knew something and he didn't know what, but it was something important. "What is it?" Connor said. "Has something else happened that I don't know about?" Alex took a deep breath before breaking the news to him. "Connor, the portal's open for the same reason that Froggy is a frog again," she said. "Grandma's magic is fading because Grandma's dying." Connor felt like he'd been punched in the stomach. He fell to his knees and darted around the garden his eyes darted around the garden surrounding him. This couldn't be happening. Had he risked so much in the other world trying to save his loved ones only to find out he couldn't save his grandmother after all? It was like he was trapped in a nightmare that he couldn't wake up from. "Grandma can't die," Connor said, and tears formed in his eyes. "She's a fairy godmother. Fairies don't die." Telling him was almost harder than hearing it herself. "Yeah, apparently they do," Alex said through her own tear. "How long does she have?" he whimpered. "There's no way of knowing," Alex said. "Emeralda said as long as there's still magic left inside her, there's always a chance she could pull through, but it looks unlikely since all of her spells are fading." A sudden gust of air blew by them as Mother Goose and Lester returned. They had found Bree and Emmerich and safely brought them into the fairy kingdom. The two were beside themselves as they looked around the majestic gardens and stunning palace. They had never seen such a beautiful place. "Wow, you don't see this every day," Emmerich said. "Now this is what I was expecting," Bree said happily. Mother Goose hopped down from Lester and helped them off the large bird. They joined the others around Connor. "That is a big frog," Emmerich said when he saw Froggy standing there. He stepped behind Bree to hide from him. "Hi, Alex," Bree said sheepishly. She almost hadn't recognized her. "I don't know if you remember me, but we were in social studies together in 7th grade. You look great. Nice palace." "Hey, Bree," Alex said, vaguely remembering her. "Thanks for helping my brother find the portal." "Yeah, no worries," Bree said. "My schedule was pretty open." Connor tearfully looked up at Mother Goose. "You didn't tell me the portal was opening because Grandma was sick," he said. Mother Goose let out a long sigh. "Yeah, I'm sorry, Sea Dog. I didn't think that I should be the one to tell you," she said. Connor looked away from her. "No, you never want to take responsibility for anything," he said coldly. Mother Goose went quiet and shamefully looked to the ground. He was right. Bree and Emmerich fell silent too. They weren't sure what kind of drama they had walked into. "Would it make you feel better if you saw her?" Alex asked to her brother. "She's resting in her room." Connor shook his head. He wanted to take care of his guilt before he moved on to his grief. "No, I want to get Bree and Emmerich home first," he said. "I don't want to expose them to more than I already have." Alex led them into the palace and up the stairs to her chambers. She retrieved their old Land of Stories book with its emerald cover and gold writing from its special spot on her bookshelf. She placed the large book in the center of her bed, and she tapped it 3 times with the tip of her crystal wand, but nothing happened. She tried it twice more, but got the same result. "I don't understand," she said. "If the portal's open, why isn't the book working?" Mother Goose picked up the book and inspected every side of it. Her eyes lit up as she came to a sudden realization. Because the portal is still halfway closed, she explained. Your grandmother's magic has faded through enough for the portal to be open on the other side of the world, but not enough for it to open on this side. It's like a doorway that's been locked, but only on one side. So you're saying Bree and Emmerich are stuck here? Connor asked. The situation just grew even more terrible by the hour. Yeah, for the time being, Mother Goose said. Wait a second, Alex said, and looked up at all the guests in her room. Her eyes widened and a smile slowly appeared. This is good news. How could this be good news? Connor asked. Because if the portal is closed on our side, it means there's still a bit of magic left in Grandma, she said happily. Brutal. Dun dun dun. This is a sad chapter. Big bummer. All right. Well, yeah, the end for now. I gotta go make flowers. Yeah, it is sad overall. I gotta go make flowers because I gotta mail them tomorrow, so I'm gonna go do that. But thank you all for this afternoon book club session. Sad. Shelly, message me and I'll tell you stuff for London.